Welcome, Geeks and Gamers, to the second episode of Late Night and Canto Bight here on the Geeks and Gamers Radio Network. Obviously, we'll be discussing anything and everything Star Wars here on the show, and we couldn't be more excited to jump to light speed with all of you. I'm your host, Tony Sin, and joining me each episode on this trip through a galaxy far, far away is my co-host and geeksandgamer.com writer, Ty W. Ruthermore. How's it going, man? It's very exciting. Exciting to be back and doing this again. It feels like it's been longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But unfortunately, Aaron couldn't be with us tonight. He's got some stuff going on at the house that he needs to take care of. But the show must go on, as they say, right?
Yeah, and you don't need to cover for Aaron. He's dead. I killed him. There can only be one Jeremy shit disturber on this show. So that's that. But we'll just keep that between us.
Right. Yeah. We'll make sure we edit that out.
Edit that. Yeah, let's so I want to incriminate myself.
Right. So have you done anything Star Wars-y since we last had an episode?
Nope. If anything, it's been more Star Trek-y in my life lately.
Well, I guess I'm going to be handling the rest of this show by myself. No, that's cool, though. So we don't have a whole lot of news here, granted, even though it's been, 2 weeks. But we do have a couple news pieces here. The very first one is actually J.J. Abrams going ahead and I think he was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, the other show with late in the title that we don't like to talk about. But no, he was on Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he mentioned that the script is done. And I think he said it's a collaborative effort between him, Derek Connolly, Chris Terrio, and Colin Trevorrow. And it should be shooting the end of July. So that's good news. Not that we kind of expected it to be lagging behind or anything, but that's cool news that things are moving right along for it.
No, that's exciting, and I find it interesting that it mentions specific Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow who had left the project, but that says to me that maybe the script didn't go through as many changes as we thought it might have been going through.
Right.
Which I primary focus of what JJ did with the rewrites was really the Leia stuff makes sense, like kind of fixing that and reworking things, because I think where maybe Trevorrow and Connolly got stuck in a bit of a feud with Kathleen Kennedy might have been how best to handle it, and I just don't think their approach worked clean and everyone else at Lucasfilm, so thus they left and we were given JJ back, which is very exciting.
It is very exciting. Kind of safe, but I guess there's nothing wrong with safe, though, right?
I did the article on it back when that news was first announced that JJ was coming back, and basically what I had said was, like, what's the issue with it being safe? Because JJ did a fantastic job with The Force Awakens. Everyone loved it. And there's something that feels right about JJ coming in to complete the story of these characters that he started off their journey and now completed. Because I'd love to see where he thinks Rey needs to end up, Ben needs to end up, and all of them. So I'm real into the choice of bringing, but I also feel kind of bad for him because he doesn't get to play around with Luke Skywalker as much as he maybe could have, because he really restricted himself in Episode 7, which
right.
I can't even imagine how much stressful that would have been, just to been like, it's the right story decision, but I really want him to come in with a green light, kill everyone.
Oh, yeah, man. It's I'm wondering, how much, if anything, they're going to kind of not retcon, but maybe change. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Not exactly retcon anything, but kind of maybe and this is, kind of a big theory too about, Kylo Ren was kind of lying to Rey about her parentage. I wonder if that's going to become a thing now that JJ kind of is back in the pilot's seat.
I don't think so. I think what was said in The Last Jedi is true. And I don't really think in The Force Awakens it was ever implied that her parents were anyone of relevance.
Right.
A lot of that was just fan speculation. Yes, her parents were mentioned a number of times, but it was never like excessively like, I gotta know who they are. This is my story. I have to figure it out. That was
Right.
a lot of that was a lot of that was driven by fans, and so I'm more than satisfied with them just being filthy drunk traders who traded her for drinking money and died in a pauper's grave, the Jakku Desert.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. It's almost like another Snoke situation there.
Mm-hmm. Snoke was way worse than the Rey parents thing. Like, that one was...
Yeah. All right, well, we can move on from that piece of news. And this new one, actually, it's from today as well. And it says that, there's a website called yakface.com, which, they says, by the fans, for the fans, and they serve Star Wars collectors worldwide. And apparently one of the guys that works for there, he does routine searches on, trademark databases and stuff. And today he got hits for something new called Star Wars Resistance. And, a lot of times when people file trademarks, they kind of do it for their own safety, just in case there's anything close to what they're going to be calling it or something like that, or, just to protect the intellectual property. But this one seems to be kind of in depth because it covers damn near everything: toys, games, Christmas tree ornaments, stockings, clothing, paper and paper articles. There's a long, extensive list here. I could go on and on. So the big thing that people are wondering, is this going to be a new comic? Is this going to be a new video game? Or is this going to be the follow-up to Star Wars Rebels?
For me, there's two possibilities. And based on this covers toys, clothing, and like kids' clothing and stuff like that, right? So that's not a video game. That's not what that is. That's either, like you said, a new animated series following up Rebels, or it's the live-action show that's going to be on the Disney streaming service. If I had to guess, I would say the animated series is the more likely answer, because I think they already have a lot of the work done on whatever the first season of that's going to be, because their way of working through Rebels, when season 2 was just about to wrap up, they had already finished recording season 3 and everything.
Right. They move quick.
They move quick. They have a good cycle going. And so if I had to guess, it would be the animated series. And where it would take place,
do you think the name right there in the name is right there? Is this going to be focusing around some of the Resistance fighters in the sequel trilogy era?
I do. I think it's going to take place 6 years before The Force Awakens, around the time the book Bloodlines happens.
That's very specific. Something I don't know.
I don't think they want to put us right in the thick of the new trilogy.
Right.
That's removed enough. They can have Luke show up. They can have Leia show up. They can have Han show up. They can have Chewie show up still. All of them are alive. There's not going to be any issues. So I think, and I said that because that's just a story that exists in that time period. So I do think it's going to be about a little bit before The Force Awakens happens and Luke disappears.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Granted, I don't think we still know exactly how long Luke was missing before Force Awakens, but anything could happen. They could always, tell like two separate stories concurrently. They could focus on, the Resistance and, everybody else, and then follow Luke on this journey. So anything could happen. It's interesting.
One concern I would have, if this is about the Resistance, is that feels eerily similar to Rebels.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
I do not care for another show that's about, oh, this is the spark of the resistance, the spark of the rebel. Like, I don't need to see that story again. Yes, it's going to be a different group of characters, but it's going to amount to the same thing. And also, if I could request something, no secret Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like Kanan, I like Ezra, I'm fine with them, but it's still weird to me that no one ever went, remember that blind guy that used to be kicking around? I can accept it, I can move past it, but no more secret Jedi.
I agree. Especially, well, I mean, if we're in that kind of time period, though,
there are Jedi.
They're Luke's new Jedi or whatever. We don't know how many people he trained, and again, we don't know exactly when this is going to take place. So it could be maybe around the time that Luke has got his new Jedi Order going. But I would be completely fine if it wasn't, and we didn't get, like you said, no secret Jedi at all or no Jedi period. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, because I don't know. A lot of people feel like. And a lot of people I talk to that aren't the biggest Star Wars fans, they're always like, I need a big lightsaber fight. It's like, why? If that's all you're watching it for, don't see it in the theater. Please just let someone else enjoy it, and you can fast forward to that when the DVD comes out.
Yeah, totally.
There's so much more to Star Wars than lightsabers and Jedi.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that covered, we can move on to the topic of the show, which is we are going to go ahead and discuss Monday's 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels because some shit went down.
Yeah, something just a teeny minor thing happened.
Just a little thing. So, and this is right here. I'm going to say, for everybody watching, if you haven't caught up or anything. From this point on, we're talking spoilers, so you might want to say bye and catch us next time or something, or come back when you catch up. So with that warning out of the way, did you see that death of Kanan coming?
It was very, very obvious from the very beginning of the episode.
From the scene with him and Ezra and him asking Ezra to devise the plan.
Yeah, where he's just like, hey man, this is not for me. I felt like he knew it was coming in a way because he cuts his hair, he shaves the beard, he cuts it dry. He doesn't.
He's got he's got a little rat tail going on in the back.
Yeah,
looks like a mullet.
And then just everything with hair going like, we've been interrupted. I love. And it's just them doing that back and forth of trying to say that they love each other. It's very obvious that that's not going to end well. And so I wasn't shocked when it happened, but I was very pleasantly surprised by how it happened. I'm glad it wasn't just it's another guy with lightsaber that we've seen for 5 minutes. Oh, he's going to kill Kanan. Okay, wow, great.
Right, yeah.
He made a noble sacrifice.
He did. And actually, I actually covered the reviews for these 2 episodes on geeksandgamers.com if you guys want to check them out in depth. But prior to seeing the episode, it's you've kind of already got it kind of ingrained in your mind that probably a lot, or maybe not the majority, but a few of these characters aren't going to make it out of this show alive. I mean, it's like timelines, and we know for a fact that Hera goes and lives on, and thanks to forces of destiny, we know that she goes on to at least past Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there was the General Syndulla being overcalled on the PA system and on Yavin and Rogue One, but I expected Kanan to go out at some point. I did not expect him to go out in this episode, like right off the bat.
No, before going into it, I didn't expect it, but it's just the way seeing out and laying information and the way it was very obvious that he was going to die.
Yeah, and he told. There's one problem that I had with it, like how you mentioned about the whole love side story and stuff. But from a different angle, it almost kind of irritated me that because when Kanan had rescued her, she had already been injected with the truth serum from the interrogator droid. I felt like that kind of cheapened it a little bit. The fact that she's confessing her love, like it almost like I feel like we as fans who have been watching since the beginning, who I read A New Dawn where the focus is solely on them two characters.
Mm-hmm.
We've been seeing this build up for a long time, and when we finally get to that, it's kind of cheapened by it being like, well, Hera's a tough badass. She probably wouldn't normally come out of her shell like that and expose herself. So we've got to think of a way to make it happen, and truth serum was the answer for that, and that kind of cheapened it a little bit for me. I didn't hate it, but it cheapened it a little bit.
But it wasn't the truth serum because he explicitly goes, nah, that's not you, that's the serum, and she explicitly says, no, this is real, this is me, this is how I feel, this is me saying this. And so I thought that was enough for me.
I can drink a few beers and say something and be like, no, I'm not drunk, and be drunk.
I guess I don't know. I'm willing to accept it for what it is, but I can totally understand the issue there.
Yeah,
that can be frustrating.
Like I said, it didn't completely ruin the episode for me or anything like that. It was just a minor nag that I had. But so Kanan's gone, and the other really interesting part tying to Kanan was in the second episode, when Ezra was meditating and the very large love wolf said its name was Doom, which we know that's Kanan's real last name.
Mm-hmm.
So is this Kanan working through the Force almost as maybe a kind of precursor to a Force ghost or something?
I honestly have no good speculation about it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, Filoni likes to do that. He likes to be very cryptic, and he's just, I guess this is one of the least cryptic things he's done. But it's still kind of like, dude, just give us a straight answer every once in a while.
Right. Well, they got to drag it on. They got to. That's why I'm hoping. That there's not. I know we've only got. I think I read 6 episodes left.
Are they doubling up each week now?
I think they're doubling up each week.
Oh, okay. Because I saw it, and it was like the show ends March 5th or something, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh my, that's quite quick. So there's like 3 episodes left.
They're doubling up.
They're doubling up. Okay, that makes sense. So
we know there probably won't be a whole lot of filler going on. At least I hope not. I don't want to see filler at this point in the story.
Well, if we're going to talk about Rebels as a whole, we'll get into filler and my issues with that and the issues with Rebels as a whole. But the follow-up episode, it was a good use of time to see how they all handled it and where they are with Kanan's death. I thought that was a good approach to it.
Absolutely.
Because if they just went, oh yeah, Kanan died, and it's like a month later, and they're on another mission, and Ezra's angry because he's not over Kanan's death, that would have been boring. I liked seeing the immediate repercussions of it. I thought that was a nice approach.
Oh, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agreed. And I liked how everyone kind of grieved in their own way. Ezra went about grieving like a Jedi by meditating. Hera, kind of went off by herself and, was kind of beating herself up like, why didn't I say something sooner or whatever and all that. And, Sabine and Zeb go off and decide to wreak havoc at the parade that the Empire had due to Kanan's death. And it was cool to see each character handle their grief in a different way. Speaking of the parade for Kanan's death and things tied to that, Thrawn is going to rain down hell.
Finally.
Dude, I can't wait.
Thrawn up to this point has been like, oh yes, the rebels are right in our grasp. Let them go. I'll deal with them later. I'll let them think they're fine. It's been a lot of that. It's been pretty meandering with Thrawn. So it's exciting to have the promise of shit's finally going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping, because, the whole reason he went off planet and pretty much all this was able to happen is because the Emperor called him to Coruscant. I'm really, really hoping we get to see the meeting between Thrawn and the Emperor. Like, that would be so cool.
Well, we are for sure getting the Emperor, which is exciting.
Right.
Played by Ian McDiarmid.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I am disappointed with that was announced, we aren't getting Krennic.
Yeah.
So disappointing because I loved Krennic.
Oh, yeah, Krennic's the shit.
We can't get any more of him now because if they're not going to show him on Rebels and we're leaving this era behind, which I'm happy about. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that we're leaving this era behind because I am deathly sick of it.
Yeah.
But past Rogue One, he's done. So you got your Catalyst, you got your Rogue One, and that's it for Krennic.
Yeah, I don't really see any way they could bring him back. And, I mean, maybe in a novel.
Or a comic.
Comic. But it would be really cool. I did like the name drop. That was cool. And I liked the name drop, or I don't think they specifically said Krennic. It was in a episode in the first half of this season where they talked about the Project Stardust. When the rebels were trying to destroy that giant kyber crystal with Saw Gerrera and shit. I love the little stuff like that. It ties into even Rogue One, so that's cool. But yeah, I Thrawn is not, like you said, he's been kind of meandering, and those of us who have read, the Thrawn trilogy and stuff, we've been waiting for this, and we're so happy that he was a character that we thought was going to be lost, to the legends, but they pulled him in, and I'm just really hoping that it pays off with this. Like, us waiting for 2 seasons now. I'm really, really hoping it pays off.
I hope so, and I hope it doesn't end with him dying. Because I think there is so much more that can be done with this character. The story that they do would have to be so freaking good for me to be like, no, it's fine that he's dead.
Right.
I really don't want to see him just end up in just this animated medium and then a few novels, and then that's it.
Yeah, totally. I would love if he was able to go on and do other things, because the galaxy is a great big place. Who's to say that he wasn't on some random Star Destroyer doing something in a movie, technically? Like, yeah, see that Star Destroyer over there? He was in it. Or something. There's no reason why, just because he wasn't shown in the movies, he can't still be around.
Yeah, like, I would be interested if that live-action Disney show was about the Empire, and, like, he was one of the main factors in it. Like, and your initial thought might be, well, that look would be hard to maintain on TV. This new show, Krypton, that I have zero interest in, but they just released a look at their version of Brainiac, and he's all green, and he looks amazing. So just paint him up, give him red contacts, and that would be great. I'd love to see him, not necessarily as the main character, but maybe we follow some officers, and it's them moving up the ranks and dealing with people like Krennic and Tarkin and Thrawn, and trying to move up in the ranks or something. I think that would be fascinating. That's a good place to put Thrawn. And I guess that wouldn't. I guess that doesn't mean that he can't die in Rebels. It's just I would prefer him not to die in an animated medium.
Yeah, same for me. Especially because, like I said, Thrawn is he's a god tier Legends character. Many people will sit here and argue till they're blue in the face that the Thrawn trilogy is some of the best Legends EU stuff that we've ever gotten. It's great, but yeah, like you said, I just don't want him to die like that. So not a whole lot else really happened. I mean, it sounds bad to say it like that because shit went down, but
like, there's not much to say about it. It's like Kanan died, they reacted, and it was all very good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so,
do you want to have a discussion about Rebels as a whole?
We can, yeah.
Okay, just to kill a little time, I guess. I remember watching the first episode of Rebels, and I really enjoyed it. I was really invested in all the characters right from the get-go, but then I didn't keep watching because I got busy with school. And then one weekend, I had all 13 episodes, and I just binged the hell out of it, and there was very little filler, and I really enjoyed that. And then with season 2, I was so excited. They showed that first 2 episodes, Kanan and Ezra versus Darth Vader on I think, was it on Lothal? I think it was.
That was been so long ago for me. I don't remember.
Yeah, but like they had that great fight, that great episode.
You're not talking about the one with Ahsoka, right?
Not the fight, not the end fight of season 2, like the first fight they had.
Yeah.
That one was amazing.
I think that was
on Lothal. And then after that, the season just dipped. It was just, oh, here's a cool story point. Oh, here's a lot of filler, like 5 episodes of filler. Oh, here's one cool story bit. Oh, here's a lot of filler. And that's the show
worst thing
doing that. And it's hard for me to watch week to week. Done. Like the Space Whales was the one that killed it for me. I was like, I'm finishing season 2, but if season 3 is anything like this, I am not watching. And I didn't watch season 3 until just like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So I watched the first episode, and I wasn't sold. I'm a big Clone Wars fan, so immediately I was put off by the difference in animation. I hated the way the Wookiees looked. They looked like the Lego Wookiees. Straight up. If you haven't seen them, Google it. Star Wars Rebels Wookiees. They look like the Lego minifigs.
They do look ridiculous. I
mean, I liked Kanan. Kanan was cool, but I liked Hera just because I'm like predisposed to like any Twi'leks, but it just didn't hook me at first. I kept watching, and I watched like the next like 3 or 4 episodes, and I just couldn't get into it, so I just didn't watch it. Then I would hear about big stuff that would happen, like, oh, here's an episode where R2 and C-3PO show up, so I'd like watch stuff like that, but I didn't make it a point to keep up with it. Then season 2 came around, and I made sure I watched the season finale of season 1, and then I made sure I watched the season premiere of season 2, and that was good. So I started getting back on it, and then once Ahsoka came on the show, from there I was drawn in. And but like you said, though, the biggest problem is just that filler, and I hated they're telling a really good story here, and then you gotta wait 4 weeks to
get more of that. Exactly.
And I hated that. Like, and it a lot of the times it's tonally different. So if you're binge watching them, and granted, sure, these shows probably weren't made to be binge watched, or with binge watching in mind, it throws the whole tone of the show off. Like, you just came this really important emotional moment, such as in season 3 with Sabine when she got the dark saber and stuff. That was some emotional shit, man. When Kanan was trying to train her and all that. Oh man. And right away, boom, nothing else. And you get they're on another random side mission with droids or something, and it's like, I get the need for it. I get the need to be able to pump out episodes and pad up your story, to have a full season or whatever. And, for the kids, obviously. But Jesus, this show did that so much, and I hated it. That's probably my number one complaint about the show. And I'm really happy that it at least appears, and what I'm thinking, what I'm hoping, is the last few episodes we're just going to ride out without any filter or filler. That's what I'm hoping. But season 3 is where, the second half of season 2, once Ahsoka showed up, is where it got me. Season 3, I thought was phenomenal, because with like the Sabine stuff and everything there, Ezra, becoming more of a formidable Jedi. It was cool. And a lot of people say that they didn't like it at first, and it grows on them. I think I don't know if that's, maybe it took Dave Filoni a little while to get comfortable with these characters, or, I guess maybe that could be just on people, the audience themselves too, though, because you're not gonna fall in love with new characters right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Understandably. Because I'll be honest with you, there's still a few main characters on that show that I don't really give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Zeb's cool and all, but I don't really care about him. I don't have an emotional attachment to him.
They had good momentum with Zeb. I think it was it season 1 or season 2 where they had to save the people of his planet.
Yeah,
you're right. They had good momentum, and then nothing came of that.
No payoff. And
I think they referenced it once again, but other than that, it's like, why bother?
I agree. And so as a result, I just don't care about the character that much. I mean, like I said, he's a cool character. He's neat. I like his species. The species are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't have any reason to care about him other than the show tells me that I should care about him.
Yeah, I liked... Because they had the species had a connection to the Force.
Mm-hmm.
There was really cool stuff that they should have explored with that, but then they just didn't. Another issue that I have with the show is it's a really annoying way of going, here's a character that's already been established that you really like, but we're only going to use them for a minute, and then have them pop up occasionally to be like, hey, I'm Tarkin. You all know me. I'm the good bad guy that everyone likes to see. But here's this lady who looks like Cate Blanchett from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Price or whatever her name is.
Yes, Price.
She's so annoying.
I can't wait to see Theron fuck her up when he gets back to Lothal.
That would be great. Because when he was just like, she's like, oh, but the Jedi's dead. And he's like, yeah, but she's gone. So what? Why are you celebrating? You're an idiot.
Exactly. And yeah, she's not cool. And I do agree with you that they almost gratuitously use other characters like that. And sure, it's cool and it can make for some cool moments, but I hate when they show them all in the trailers too. Or give you some kind of surprise. Like they show you like the whole 4 seconds that they're on screen. And then that's it. And like even with the trailer for the back half of season 4, you heard Tarkin's hologram name drop Krennic. Like, yeah, I didn't need to see that in the trailer. Let me naturally, hear that.
Yeah, they do that stuff, and that's what I don't like about this show. Is that, and I think it might be a bit of a Dave Filoni problem. I think he gets very proud about his own characters after Ahsoka. I think he's very proud of what he did with Ahsoka. I think he's very proud of what he did with Ezra and Kanan. And so every time he makes a character, he's like, no, they're more important than the already established characters. And people will say, like, well, in the movies, why didn't you use this character instead of creating this new character? Because the old character, it just totally wouldn't have worked with whatever situation that they created the new character for. But everything that they do with Governor Price, just have it be Tarkin. Have it be Krennic. Have it be someone we know. Because it's like this bug-eyed lady with this dumb haircut. Looks like an... every time she's on screen, I'm like, you look like you're on your deathbed right now. Like, call in sick. The Empire's got other people, man. You don't don't kill yourself over this torture thing, man.
Yeah, I agree. And to get back on to, sorry, I did forget about this part from the new episodes. We were kind of left with after Ezra had his meditation or whatever vision from the Loth Wolf Doom, he was given that piece of tablet from the Lothal Jedi Temple. So apparently that's where at least Ezra's mission's taking him next. I don't know if they're going to split up or go with him or whatever, but that's going to be interesting to see.
I reckon they'll just split up. I think Ezra's going to be like, no, Kanan would deal with this on his own. I'll deal with this on my own.
Right.
Because now I think Ezra's a little older than Kanan was when Kanan witnessed his master die.
I think so.
But I think he's kind of going to go down a similar path, which is interesting.
Do you think he's going to be alive come the end of Rebels?
Leaving him alive proves a lot of issues.
It does. It leaves a lot of loose ends hanging.
He would have the only way that I could see it working is if he makes everyone thinks he's dead.
Yeah, kind of like Kanan.
Yeah, because it would just be weird. Because it's like, oh man, what are we gonna do about this Darth Vader? I don't know. Let's maybe call that Jedi we know.
Right.
I don't. It's just infuriating, and Ezra's kind of an unlikable character. I'm very irritated by him and his decisions most of the time, like more often than not. So,
oh yeah,
I just kill him. I want him dead. He's a twerp.
You know, I always thought he looked like in the beginning of the show, like before he cut his hair and everything.
Aladdin.
He looked like fucking Aladdin. I called him Space Aladdin all the time.
That's why they cut his hair, because they were just Dave Filoni was like, no, I can't. They're like, Dave, it's gonna cost us like $20,000 to edit out the hair in all the episodes. He's like, I don't care, just do it.
I guess I kind of care a little bit about Ezra and his journey, but I don't care about him nearly as much as I cared about Kanan, or actually I care a lot about Sabine after her Darksaber episode.
Yeah. The thing with Ezra is that they really did some cool stuff. They set it up at the end of season 2 with Maul. I wish that season had ended with him going off with Maul and training with him. Because, or at least in season 3, seeing him walk that line, because there wasn't enough of it. It was just like, I agree. It was just like, oh, hey, Ezra, what's up? It's me, double-sided lightsaber boy. I'll see you when we go kill Obi-Wan together.
Another character you know from the movies.
Yeah, just do a cool story. Like, don't just be like, oh, it's just a one-off thing. Right. No, expand upon it. That's fascinating. If you want to do filler, do meaningful filler.
Right.
Like, have multiple stories going on. Like, do 2 episodes of whatever the Rebels are doing, and then have Ezra training with Maul and being corrupted. That's vastly more interesting.
I agree. Totally. Okay, so before we wrap up talking about Rebels here, do you got any predictions for the next few episodes or how things may end?
Zeb dies.
I agree.
I believe... No, Chopper's in Rogue One. I was going to say Chopper dies, but he's in Rogue One.
Yep.
And...
We know Hera's alive, so that counts her out.
Hera's alive.
So that leaves us with Sabine and Ezra, pretty much.
I think Sabine fucks off.
You really do?
Yeah, I don't think she sticks around. I think something's gonna break in her, and she's gonna go, you know what? Not for me, thanks. And I think she's gonna bounce.
Don't you think that would kind of undercut the whole arc that she's gone through the show, where she's learning to be a leader, she's learning to be a powerful fighter, and she's got the Darksaber, and she tried to give it back. But she still has the Darksaber, and she, as far as everyone else, she's the leader of her clan, of her Mandalore clan, of Clan Ren. And I feel like that would kind of totally be a kick in the balls to everything they've been working towards for her.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, fine. She stays.
I don't know if she'll be alive, but
if she's alive, then she'll stay then. But Ezra, he's got to go. He's dead. He's dead. No more Secret Jedi.
Or Ezra is Snoke.
Or maybe he's Benicio del Toro. Or maybe he's Oscar Isaac. Or maybe he's Adam Driver, or maybe he's Mark Hamill. Who knows?
Can you not tell me though that if in a different world where you just saw the character stuff, couldn't Ezra be Kylo Ren? Just like kind of like the way they look, they kind of favor each other a little bit, especially back when he had the Aladdin hair.
Yeah, especially with that sweet Aladdin hair.
Yeah, I don't really have any predictions. I think Zeb's going to die. I thought Zeb was going to be the first one to bite it when people started dying off. I really fully expected him to die in that fight with Rook.
Yeah.
I think Rook's going to come back and kick Zeb's ass somehow. And Zeb's either going to die by getting killed or kind of in a save the day type way where both of them end up dead.
I don't think it'll be in that way. I think it's going to be he's just in a fight and it just does not go his way.
It could be that fight with Rook.
Could be.
It could be. I'd like to see that little motherfucker die. He's cool, but I'm like, oh man, I thought it was funny how they kind of sent him off on the speeder and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah.
I think that's all for my predictions.
Anything else, Rebels?
That's about it. But so I guess now we can do some community questions, and this first one kind of ties in with Rebels. You want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah. Shane McGinnis asks, what/who do you want the next animated series by Dave Filoni to be about? Well, if that trademark proves to be true, it's likely going to be about the Resistance. I hope it's more about the inner workings of it rather than how it begins, like we discussed earlier. But if I had to choose my preference, I don't care about Before the Force Awakens yet. I really don't. What I care about is between Empire and Return of the Jedi, because we know dick all about what happened in that time. Like, even back in the days when the Legends was mainly canon,
Right.
that area wasn't
Not a whole lot
into as much as it's like what happened, because Luke he's not dealing with Yoda anymore.
Right.
So how did he learn to build a lightsaber? Like, explore that era. So give me a story about that.
Okay, I could see that. Personally, if I was to have my own choice, and I've talked about it before, but I want an animated series about Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo. I want that can have the same kind of dynamic as Kanan and Ezra, Anakin and Ahsoka, and it would continue that theme of
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time it wouldn't be secret Jedi. It would make sense. It would be a cool story, and there's a lot to explore there. Granted, we don't know exactly how long Ben was under the tutelage of Luke. I don't think. I think that would be cool, and it's there's a starting point that we could go from, and then there's an ending point. Just like Clone Wars had an ending point, it had to end before Revenge of the Sith, and Rebels had to end before Rogue One / New Hope. I think all the pieces are there. I think it would be really cool because everybody wants to know the story. Everybody wants to know more about their relationship, what they went through together. And then you could also bring in, Snoke starting to tempt Ben over to the dark side and all that. You could do so much with that. And then you could have your side stuff going on with, the Resistance and the New Republic and everything, and the First Order coming into fruition and everything. I think it would just be perfect.
I guess my few stipulations against that is, are we working on the assumption that this show starts next fall?
I would think so.
Okay, so that's before episode 9. And my issue with that would be is that with where we are with Ben right now, is that we know him as this very dark, evil character. And to see him just be like, I'm hopeful and happy to be a Jedi, it would just be a weird thing to be watching that, and then you go into episode 9 and you're getting right back into, I killed my dad, I tried to murder my uncle, I shot a lot of thinking it was a man, but it turned out a figure of a man. Some dice were in my hand, and then they went away, and I was sad about it. Like, I don't.
It would be weird. It would be weird.
It'd be weird to jump around.
It would be.
It would be weird to jump around like that. But also, I'll let you bounce off that while I think about what my other point was, because I completely forgot about it.
No, I think you're totally right. It would be really weird, and I didn't kind of take that into consideration. I don't know. Maybe at some point through the show, maybe when we begin the show, maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be about that time era. Maybe there can be like a time jump at some point where we see Leia kind of give Ben over to Luke, and then maybe we flash forward a little bit into his training after 9 has already passed, because we didn't get Clone Wars till after episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we all knew what the end game there was, but
yeah. So I guess my other point was, then that's putting the story, that particular story, in this animated box, and I don't know. I guess that is the best medium for it. At first, like, what I was just thinking was, I'm a little hesitant about putting that big story about Luke and Ben together just in a television show. But honestly, I'd rather that than a comic book or a novel.
Yeah,
I think I want to play with, so I just talked myself out of my own point there.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't going to be, this animated series, I think that it will definitely be a novel or a comic. I mean, the story's told one day, one way or another.
Absolutely.
We can move on to the next question. Mike Calkins, who is one of our fellow writers. What up, Mike? He asks, if you could make any single piece of Legends material canon, what would it be?
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
The Darth Plagueis novel. Have you ever gotten around to reading that one?
Yep. I think that's my answer too, actually.
That is probably, even including new canon, including all the old stuff, that's probably my favorite piece of Legends material, period. I love dark side stories and evil stories. And James Luceno, the author of Plagueis, is so good at that. He's so good at that. He did Catalyst. He did Tarkin. This was one of the last Legends books, and I just loved learning so much about Plagueis, because at this point all we knew was what Palpatine revealed in Revenge of the Sith, and it was just so cool to see that. And not to mention, it was so cool to get a much needed backstory on Palpatine. It worked. There was a point in the book where it kind of turned over, and the majority of the story was about Palpatine,
which is really cool.
And go ahead.
The nice thing about Plagueis is that none of it ever feels like, oh, that's not how I pictured it. That's not how I thought that would pan out or be revealed. But everything they do, it's just like, yeah, I'm on board. This is all very cool and very fascinating. And so to have that be canon in some capacity, like, I don't want them to make that specific book canon. I think if you're going to take those elements, put them in some sort of movie, like have Tom, like I'm sick of character movies. Like, we haven't even had the first character solo with Han Solo. Stick with them. I'm done with them. Like, I don't want Obi-Wan anymore. But if we had to have another one, I would want a Darth Plagueis movie, which isn't even technically about a character that we already know. But right. If we had to have a young Palpatine, Tom Hiddleston.
I could see that, and I would totally buy that. And I would
totally perfect.
Yeah, I agree. And the great thing about that novel is too that James Luceno in his next novel, which was Tarkin, which I believe was the second or third in the new.
It was second.
Second, okay. It came after A New Dawn, the Rebels book. He took little bits and pieces of parts of what he wrote in Plagueis and pulled them into the canon. He's like, okay, well, you're going to make my shit not canon. Let me just take this and bring it back into the canon. He did a couple of those things.
As much as he could within
as much as he could.
Story.
Exactly. And that was cool. And I would love to see even bits and pieces like that brought back in. But I loved everything about that book. You know, the scientific aspects about it. I love how they planted the seed of idea that was Anakin's birth a direct effect of Plagueis's meddling with the Force.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how they it opened up so many questions and it so satisfying. And to be honest, I read that book, finished it, went back and watched The Phantom Menace again, and it made me appreciate it in a different way.
Okay, nice. Should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan Marion asks, what's your favorite piece of Star Wars music? For me, it's Rey's theme.
I was going to say that because it's a really good theme, but I think I'll be corny here and take the obvious route and go with Duel of the Fates. That's been my ringtone for like 6 years. I love it.
Like everyone's like, oh man, give me that Duel of the Fates, give me that Imperial March. Me? Nah, man, give me that Rey's theme. I'm all about it. It's so good.
It's good. I really like it. And I'll find it getting stuck in my head sometimes, you know, after watching movie Force Awakens and stuff. And it's really well done, and I really like that one. So that's a very good answer. I don't have any issues with that.
Yeah, I wish it had been used a little bit more in The Last Jedi. I guess if I do have some critiques of that movie, it would be I wanted more Rey's theme because it's used like once or twice. It's used for sure when she's training with the lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
So Rey's theme's great.
All right. So next question, Thomas Gilkey, who is one of our awesome Patreon supporters. What's going on, Thomas? How's it going? Shout outs. He asks, do you think Ewan McGregor will come back to play Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan movie?
Yep. I would be flabbergasted if they didn't bring back Ewan McGregor. If they didn't bring back Ewan McGregor, any interest anyone has in this movie would just be gone.
I agree.
People would be like, what's the point? Like, you're not gonna you've struck lightning twice with this character.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't gonna do it a third time.
No, not at all.
So you'd have to bring him back.
And you know, I think he's been made it public plenty of times that he's totally down for it. So I think if he didn't come back, it would be due to Disney and Lucasfilm deciding not to bring him back. And I mean, you know, he recorded dialogue for Rey's vision for The Force Awakens, and they didn't end up using it, but he did record it.
They used some of it.
The part where it was like, these are your first steps.
His dialogue that he recorded for The Force Awakens?
Yeah, they did use
these
that.
Are your first steps.
These are your first steps. My bad. Because I know that they...
They took Alec Guinness's voice. They took Alec Guinness.
Afraid. And made
They took him saying afraid and made... Ray?
Right.
Ray? Ray?
Yeah, I totally. If they didn't bring him back, like you said, that would kill my interest in the movie.
And also, like with this Obi-Wan movie, if they didn't have Ewan McGregor, it would put them right back into that same spot that they are with the Han Solo movie right now. Where there's people like me going, no, that is not Han.
Hashtag not my Han Solo.
Hashtag Han Nolo. Got him. So
hashtag Han Nolo. Okay, I'm done.
So yes, Thomas, it has to be Ewan. It's Ewan or nothing. And
if it's not Ewan, don't even fucking make the movie.
Exactly. Or just don't make the movie in general. But we'll move on to the last question now.
Yeah, go ahead. There's a lot of words in that one, so I'll let you read it.
Yeah, it's a good member of the community. Love him to death. Alicio Pasquale. You got to not write novels, man, but I'll read this one out in full. Considering Disney still has one more Star Wars story / Star Wars anthology movie set for 2020, with Hollywood Reporter saying the Obi-Wan movie since August is in early development with Stephen Daldry writing and directing the script. Might that still be the one set for 2020? And do you think the reason it isn't announced yet is because they want to focus on making Solo great first? Also, if Obi-Wan needs Solo's success to get it to happen, successful enough with breaking even with $750 million worldwide on a rumored $300 million budget as a success enough to get Obi-Wan to happen. So there's a bit to unpack there.
Let's kind of take it one step at a time here.
Yeah.
Let's go into it with, let's see. Okay,
first of all,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. My
First of all, do you think the movie's happening? Sorry. Do you think the movie's happening?
I do think it's happening. There's been a lot of things to a lot of rumblings and rumors to kind of almost corroborate that it is in fact happening. So I'm inclined to believe that it's going to happen, yeah. What about you?
I think it's something that they want to do, but will it happen? I'm not convinced.
Okay.
As I've said, I don't want it to happen because I'm just sick of these character movies that we haven't even had one of. But I'm done with them.
Do you think to break away from that for a second? Do you think your tune would change on that if they got one right, like Obi-Wan, or if Solo fucking knocks it out of the park and is amazing? Would you change your tune on that?
No. Because I just don't want to see stories about people we already know. Like, you have this vast universe with Star Wars.
Literally,
like,
yeah.
Expand on that, guys. Like, I don't need to see everything that everyone's ever done in their life in this franchise. So, no, it doesn't matter if Solo's amazing. My tune on that, my tune on Obi-Wan would change a bit. Because Obi-Wan's a very specific case because we have so much invested with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. So that's a bit of a different circumstance. But if they're like, let's do a Luke Skywalker standalone between 5 and 6. No, don't do it.
Right.
That's not something I want to see because
Save that for Ty's animated series he wants.
Exactly. Listen to me. Hire me, Lucasfilm. I know what to do with your franchise.
Okay, so do you think that that's the one set for 2020? If that's going to happen? Or do you think it's entirely something else?
I don't think they know what they have set for 2020.
I don't think so either. I really don't think so either. I think they're working on it.
I think those decisions are incoming.
Yeah. So I guess which ties into, do you think the reason it's not announced yet or anything is because they want to focus on making Solo great first? Because they have their fucking work cut out for them when it comes to that, for a lot of people.
Look, the people who would be deciding to greenlight Obi-Wan aren't like that involved with the process of making Solo great.
Right.
A lot of that now falls on Ron Howard and his editing team and them working together to string together the best and most coherent movie possible. And so I think Kathleen Kennedy brought on Ron Howard for that specific reason to go, you're a great filmmaker. You know what you're doing. I can close this door and I can let you work. And I can come back in a few months and it'll all be hopefully fine.
Right.
So I don't think it's because that they're waiting to see how Solo does. I think it's just a matter of them figuring out. I think the big thing is if they're like, can we get Rian Johnson's first movie going? I think that's ultimately what they'd rather do than Obi-Wan. I think they want to get the ball rolling with Rian Johnson.
Possible. It's possible. I think they kind of, if this is to happen, I think it is they just want to get the movie. They want to get Solo out. Maybe not focus on make it great, because like you said, it's not really up to the same people making the decision. I think they just want to get the movie out and just get the movie done with. Not in a bad way. I just mean they want to take care of something that's what they've got on their plate right now before they go announcing something else, because they've got this to work with. They've got so much other shit going on. I think they just want to do one thing at a time. And so the last part of that
is the money aspect.
Right. I'm not well versed totally in film as much as you, and like budgets and stuff like that. I'm not a movie critic, but so I'll let you kind of handle that one.
So the thing here is the figure Alicio has is $300 million. That's a low number. This movie probably cost initially $200 because they shot the entire movie prior to this, and a lot of the special effects, like as soon as they go, yep, that's done with that shot, we're working on it, they start CGIing that shit immediately. So much money is just being poured into that, and all that was just thrown away. So the entire 200 was probably not used in terms of the CGI, but a fair amount of it would have been. So I think that number is pretty low. I think we're looking at more $350 to $380 million, which is crazy. That's even more than Justice Balloon, their great mustache work. And I think it's just them trying to figure out, what do we really want to keep doing these character movies? And I don't think they do, because I think the backlash that they've received from the whole production process that they went through, the fans being like, what are you doing with this? And then the reaction to the trailer was more or less lukewarm. So I don't think it matter of, I think unless those dollars, they're the connection between them isn't anything.
Right on. I don't really have much to add there, because again, that's kind of your area of expertise than mine, but I'll go with what you say there. So this is one thing, before we get into closing this out, there's one thing that I did want to ask in the Rebels talk that we had, and I totally forgot, and I just somehow remembered it. What do you think is going to happen regarding Ahsoka? Filoni has purposely trolled fans with the Ahsoka Lives ? Thing, the t-shirt and all that. My question is she alive? If she is, where has she been? What has she been doing? If she's not, what does that mean? And do you think we're going to get a straight answer out from this show either way?
We'll get a straight answer. There is no way that we don't get a straight answer. Filoni's coy. He's not that coy.
Yeah.
He's not Christopher Nolan. He'll give us a straight answer by the end of it, but what that answer will be, it is impossible to predict, because he has given literally zero accurate kind of indication to what it could be. Because he's like, it's she or isn't she? That's been his thing the entire time. He's never faltered from that. So if I had to make a big guess, it would be, yeah, she's going to be alive because that's his baby. But he might go, but for story reasons, it makes sense for her to not be alive. So I don't know for sure. What do you think?
Everything deep down inside of me, wants to say, she's going to be alive and well, because I love the character. I really don't think she's alive. I think we may see her return in some other way. Like, I know a lot of people, when the trailer for first trailer for season 4 came out, a lot of people were thinking there was a connection between Ahsoka and the Loth Wolves. Mm-hmm. That may or may not be a thing. But I think something along those lines is far more likely than her being alive and well in her own body, you know? Again, I would love for her to be alive, but like you said, it leaves a lot of story threads hanging as far as, well, where was Darth Vader's apprentice or, you know, old apprentice this whole time, you know, that all this stuff's going on. Like, we really could have used you. We really could have used your help. But if she is back, I think my major prediction is I think she might show up, kind of save the day a little bit, and then die. Go out a hero's death, something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's anybody's guess. Like Filoni, he has a good poker face with Ahsoka, so it'll be interesting to see.
As long as there's something, as long as there's some kind of answers, I'll be happy. I don't want them to like, well, we sprinkled a little bit of Ahsoka into Rebels. Maybe you'll see some more of her in the next animated series. I don't want that now.
No.
All right. Well, it's getting kind of late, so let's start winding this down. You got any shout-outs you want to give, man?
No, just follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nerdy Casual and check out a article I'll be doing about a lot of the positive aspects of The Last Jedi. Yeah, positive aspects of The Last Jedi.
On this channel?
On this channel? Yeah, so how about you? What do you got for shout-outs?
Shout-outs. First and foremost, I want to shout out you and Aaron. We got some pretty solid numbers on the first episode of the podcast. I mean, it wasn't nothing touching a lot of the videos Jeremy does out here on the channel and stuff, but for a brand new podcast, you know, with 3 unknown random guys that like to talk about Star Wars, I think we did pretty solid. And so shout outs to you guys for that. You know, shout outs to Aaron for not being able to be here tonight, but we'll get him back next time. Shout outs to the community as a whole, and shout outs to everyone that listens, and that's about it. Yeah, looks like that is all for this episode of Late Night in Canto Bight, and we really hope you guys enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you share us with a fellow Jedi or Sith in your life. Feel free to send us feedback on Geeks and Gamers Facebook page or on Twitter at GeeksGamersCom. Be sure to follow all things Geeks and Gamers by subscribing to our YouTube channel right here, where you can find more of our awesome podcasts and plenty of other great content. Join our main Facebook community to engage in awesome conversation about anything and everything geek-related, including but not limited to Star Wars, at facebook.com/groups/geeksgamerscom. And if gaming is your thing, you can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/gamingwithgeeks. And finally, if you're enjoying the content brought to you by Geeks and Gamers, please feel free to support us via Patreon at patreon.com/geeksandgamers. And thank you so much for tuning in with us. We'll catch you next time, and may the Force be with you.